Now, the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial continuing this morning at the North Gauteng High Court. A decision, I understand, is expected to be made on Advocate Mshololo's special entry application. We'll talk about this special entry application in a moment. Slindelo Masikane is our reporter, still there for us. We'll talk about what is docket 375 or this docket number 2. It's been called various things. We'll get there in a moment, of course, Slee morning. And it looks like you're not having to put your firefighting hat on this morning because it came out of nowhere yesterday. I heard from the LPC early this morning saying that for the moment, of course, their office is closed.
Certainly so, and you would know that that LPC office is literally right next door, the High Court. I'm going to ask my colleague Joel Matlala to show you. I'm literally just around the corner from the North Gauteng High Court, and the LPC offices are here on Paul Kruger Street. You can see as we're approaching just how close the two buildings are. And if you remember the visuals from yesterday, the flames were coming out of this particular part of the building, and in fact the tree had caught fire as well. You can see that the area or the building itself has been cordoned off. My colleague and I are just going to go under the barrier quickly, and you can see that the damage is really, it was confined to this particular office where we understand consultations were occurring with the general public. You know, the LPC not only regulates the conduct of legal practitioners, but of course the general public can also lay complaints with them. So you can see, of course, that the offices remain closed, and most of the damage really contained to where the fire actually began. Yeah,
and hearing from the LPC's Kabelo Letebele earlier, as I was saying, all their online services are still available for them, but obviously nothing in the office. Slee, all right, let's take our attention back into the courtroom as well, and this docket 375 at the second docket that everyone is talking about as well. We're hearing reports, and I'm sure you'll elaborate for us, that there are implications involved as well. So a very dramatic day inside court as well as outside. Take us through this application.
Right. So yesterday what we saw, of course, was in earnest, the resumption of the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. And what we saw, of course, was Sergeant Thabo Mosia, who was in court, ready to continue with cross-examination. But then the judge was then informed that there was going to be a special entry application that was going to be made by Advocate Zandile Mshololo for accused number 5 with regards to the second docket. That is docket 375, which was opened in 2019 and has a completely different scenario, in terms of what happened on the night that Senzo Meyiwa was shot and killed. And so there's a special entry application for accused number 5 is basically for the High Court to note that Mshololo and her clients believe that there's been an irregularity in terms of how these proceedings have been unfolding, which have led to the constitutional rights of accused number 5 being violated, namely because accused 5's lawyer only received the physical copy of docket 375 after the trial had begun. Let's take a listen to what Mshololo had to say in terms of her submissions, Gareth.
The content of evidence in docket Foslorus case 37501-2019 ought to have been disclosed to the applicant before he pleaded. The applicant's constitutional right in terms of section 35(3) of the Constitution has been violated in that the applicant was not provided with sufficient detail of the charge before he pleaded. Number 8, as a result, the conduct of the respondent, the state, has rendered these proceedings not in accordance with the law. The furtherance of these proceedings is both unconstitutional and not in accordance with the law. The application is bona fide, not frivolous, and it is not the abuse of the court process. My Lord, it is a common cause and it is evidence before this court that the applicant pleaded before this court on the 22nd of April 2022. And my Lord, it is also common cause that the second docket was disclosed or furnished to the defense counsel in the middle of the trial. And to be specific, my Lord, during the cross-examination of the first witness. My Lord, it is for that reason that this application is brought before this court, in order for this court to record an irregularity that has occurred.
But now we're about to hear the state prosecutor, Slee, saying that special entries is premature as well. Take us through that response.
So just towards the end of the day, then we started hearing the response or reply from the state, which is opposing the application and is asking the court to actually dismiss it, saying that, at this point it's actually quite unnecessary. Let's take a listen.
Make the submission that the application for a special entry is premature and ought to be dismissed, and we advance the following reasons. Firstly, and we will refer to the relevant case law in this regard. In paragraph 1.2.1, we say that special entries are a route to the appeal court and therefore presupposes that there must be a verdict of guilty. And we are making the submission that there hasn't been such a verdict in Kasu.
And now, of course, we have to look ahead to what we can expect later in court today. I imagine getting underway at around about 10 o'clock.
Yes, at around 10 a.m. this morning, we are expecting court proceedings to resume, where we will have the continuation of the state prosecutor's submissions in terms of them objecting to this application. And then at some point, we'll hear once more from Advocate Mshololo as well as TT Tobane for accused 1 to 4. And then we are expecting a decision to be made on this application before we continue with cross-examination of Sergeant Thabo Mosia, who's the forensic investigator and, of course, the state's first witness in this matter. He was warned yesterday that he does need to come and appear this morning because at any point we could continue with cross-examination. So we will be bringing those visuals live, Gareth, when we do begin at 10 a.m. this morning.